Lucky Boys Podcast.
Welcome to Lucky Boys Podcast. I'm Will.
And I'm Norm, and I want to introduce a very special guest today, Coss Marte.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
How are you?
Appreciate you? I'm good.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me. It didn't take a long time to travel here, though.
Yeah, you live down the block. Well, I guess
I know.
This is the first podcast we had where we had all LES natives, right?
That's true. Yeah. Born and raised, right?
Yep.
Wow. It's
Lower
crazy.
East Side, for those of you guys listening and you're not from New York City, that is where we all from. And we grew up typically in the same era.
Yeah.
The
like,
vicinity, yeah. Same.
so I think a 5-block radius, basically.
I think less.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
less.
Like 2 blocks
Yeah.
away from you.
You were
Yeah.
just
a block away
I'm in
from
the
us.
middle of both of y'all.
Crazy thing is we never met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad had the bodega, so you probably...
The corner bodega on Forsyth?
He had it on Rivington.
Rivington.
It was
Okay.
it was a small
The
little
stop
bodega.
one? No, not the stop one.
No, there's one between Eldridge and Forsyth, and it was like 3 steps down. It's like a wine bar right now, but...
Yeah.
Oh, I know which one.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
exactly
yeah,
which
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And I used to work there sometimes when I was a kid.
Wow. I don't remember a bodega being there, but I remember the wine bar. Oh,
The wine bar now, that's when
Yeah.
it got gentrified.
Gentrified, yeah. A lot's changed, man, in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
right?
You became internet famous.
Yeah.
You did a few TED Talks. You were on Vice. So you had other interviews on other platforms. And I was like, oh, my God, this guy's from LES.
Yeah.
And he's the same age as us, close to it. And like, how did I never meet this guy? I was always around
it's
playing in the area. And you were known at that time as a teenage New York City drug lord who made millions.
That's what Vice said. I mean, I made a lot of money when I was a kid. It was just a crazy operation, you know. Like my boy, I don't know if you ever met Joey Lajabe, but he used to hang around. He's around, maybe same age as you, 38, 37. Him and I just like worked nonstop on the streets, man. But I first had the corner. And I remember when I was like running the corner of Broome and Eldridge, I was there like 24 hours a day. And Joey used to come up to me and just buy a few bags here and there so he could like sell it off and I would give him a deal. And then I just saw his hustle and like he just bought me out one day. I remember him saying like, yo, I need more, and just coming back and forth. And I'm like, yo, I'm out.
Need more what? Cocaine?
Coke, yeah. Because he was buying... Yeah, I was selling like 20 bags on the block. And so I don't know, he bought like 20 bags or some shit like that. And then he came back and like was like, yo, I need more. And I ran out and he was like, yo, I need more. What can I get more? I was like, yo, we could go see my cousin. He was like, yo, let's go half and half. And this is where like the partnership started, you know?
And how old were you guys?
When that happened, I must have been like 18, 17.
18. Now, did you start off selling cocaine right away or was there something else?
No, I started selling weed at 13. And I don't know, I remember my cousin was selling ounces of weed. Basically, everybody in my family that was like a little bit older than me was selling weed and coke and all that stuff. But I remember the kids in my school, they were like, yo, they used to know that I was smoking. So everybody back in the day would get like a nickel bag amount of money.
So you were that guy.
Everybody's like, yo, give me $1. And I go get the, 25 cents Philly.
Yeah.
And so, I'm smoking for free, but I'm going up to my cousin to buy a nickel. And then I'm like the one rolling it. And so I was always that middleman. So for me, it was just like a supply and demand. And I was like, yo, let me just buy an ounce. And from there, it was just, that's how everything started, yeah.
So you saw that like opportunity to kind of expand your business at that point.
I saw like my cousins making money, and so I was like, this is how people make money. And I remember like my mom and my dad didn't have any money, you know what I mean? I couldn't ask them for anything. If I needed like a pair of shoes or anything, it was basically a hand-me-down from somebody in my family that was like, hey, yo, I don't need these kicks anymore.
Yeah, I know that all too well.
None of us got allowances going up.
Exactly. There was no allowance. There was no clothing. It was, everything was hand-me-downs. And I wanted my own shit, and I had no video games. I had to like, go to my cousin's house to play video games. And it was like 20 of us in a room, just like fighting for, to play Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and that was it. But I wanted my own shit. you know, and
So you thought that was the way. That was your ticket out.
yeah, and it was, you know, like I was making my own money. I was, you know, I was the only kid in my school with a cell phone, you know, at 14 years old that had the old Nokia.
I remember those.
Playing Snake.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that battery life will go on for 3 days. They need to bring that battery technology back.
Black and white screen, you know what I mean? And I felt good about myself because everybody looked at, like, you know, they thought I was making something. You know what I mean?
Did you really make millions?
Yeah. So how I'm gonna break down the math to you.
I wish we had a chalkboard right here. You know,
I'm secretly taking notes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't care. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I mean, I started off like, you know, selling 8 balls and ounces and all that stuff, but basically,
now, can you explain what are 8 balls?
8 balls is 3.5 grams cocaine, and typically back then in the street you was getting it for about $125 a 8 ball. And so you break that down and you make about $350 if you bag them up at 0.3s, and 0.3 of a gram you're selling it at $20, and you know you're making a gram for like $67, and that's how much money you're making on the revenue side.
Wow.
But so basically what we were doing off a whole key, at the point that we were making a lot of money off a whole key, we were like generating $90,000 to $100,000 in revenue, and we were selling a whole key in about a week. And so how we did that, we stopped selling to, you know, the crackheads that were on the block. Everybody that moved in the neighborhood in the early 2000s were just hips. I'm talking about 04, 03, 04, 05, we was just selling just nothing but just white people in the neighborhood that just moved in. And we would just go into like the bars, like you probably remember Happy Endings.
Yes, I do. It was right around the corner from the bodega.
Yeah, on Broome and Eldridge, right there between Eldridge and Forsyth. So
Happy Endings is like a bar /
But back in the day, it used to be a real Happy Endings.
Yes. I actually walked in there.
Oh, they had the sign, right? They kept it.
Yeah, they kept the old
sign.
Yeah, but you walked in there and there'll be a lineup of girls.
Yeah.
And you get to pick.
But there was a few spots.
You weren't with me, but
I'm a good
we were
boy.
just bar hopping and then ended up at Happy Endings.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why is there a bunch of girls behind that? I was like, oh, it's for real Happy Ending? And my friends are like laughing. And I was like, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, but there used to be a few of them. There used to be Happy Endings, JJ, and then on Eldridge, there used to be 2 basements. And then there used to be there was like a Mexican spot on Delancey and Eldridge. And so there was like a gate down in the basement. And then you'll have like Colombians and all those girls down there. I mean, it was just crazy.
It's a speakeasy now, right?
Yeah, that's across the street. That's the speakeasy, Attaboy. Used to be Milk and Honey, which I was like, that was another coke spot that I was hustling in. But yeah, I mean, everything started there, and those people were moving to like Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They were like, you know, living in different neighborhoods, but they were coming to party down there.
Right.
So Joey and I made business cards, and we started giving it out to all these people. And from there, it was just like, yo, we deliver everywhere. You know, we first started like riding bicycles to like everybody. And then all my friends, you know, that was standing on the corner, like just smoking weed, wasting their life away. And be like, yo, like we were just like getting on their back, like, yo, what the fuck is you doing with your life? Like we got so much demand that we just couldn't handle it. And so we started getting our friends to like make all the deliveries. And then we started getting cars, and from there, it just started blowing up. It was just crazy.
I actually got your business cards a couple of times.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear. So I would come out at the bars, and the next thing I was, somebody would be like, hey, go. I was like, oh, what? They're like, you're here. And then I was like, what is this? And then they showed me a business card. I was like, are they serious?
Yeah, I mean, we just did not stop marketing. It was just like, we were screaming cocaine sometimes down the street. Like,
weren't you guys? You guys were going like lawlessly, like you guys were not afraid of any repercussions.
Yeah, we didn't give a fuck. We were just like, we were super obnoxious. I remember buying a Cadillac Fleetwood 22-inch gold spinner rims, you know, like pearl white seats. And I'm talking about like with the craziest sounds. It like this car came out in the Dub magazine. like we were just so obnoxious, like just playing loud ass, rap music.
You were
not
literally
giving a
like
fuck.
basically doing everything but having a physical sign say, I'm a cocaine dealer right here.
Exactly.
How did they never catch you? You were able to just go about this for years successfully.
Yeah.
Without being tagged.
And the way we got caught was not through the marketing stupidity that we were doing. We got caught because somebody told on us, which is crazy.
Let's touch on that later.
Yeah.
I do want to dig deeper on the whole mathematics behind this.
Yeah.
So you made millions.
Yep.
And you guys were spending and you didn't even care.
Yeah, we didn't give a fuck. We were smoking a lot of weed between Joy and I. We were smoking about a half a pound every 2 weeks. We were like smoking 50 blunts a day. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes. And we were staying up for 3 days at a time and just sleeping in the car. Like
Were you guys taking caffeine pills to stay up?
Yeah. Like in Vice, I was taking no dose pills. And that was Joey's idea. We were like, I don't know. We were just walking. I think we went into the Rite. Was it Rite Aid or Rite Aid on by Smith Projects over there?
Mm-hmm.
And we hop out and we jump in and he's like, "Yo, we should take these. These are caffeine pills because we were trying to do whatever the fuck it took, but use cocaine. Like we did not want to get high on our own supply,
Right.
And so we used to just buy no dose pills to like stay up, and sometimes it didn't work. Like we were like, I remember I knocked out, and because sometimes he would drive and he would sleep on the passenger seat, and then I would drive, he would sleep, and so we'd just take turn back and forth. And I remember like passing out on the passenger seat and just waking up with cops like banging on our windows.
What?
And I forgot what street. I think we were on Delancey Street. And we caused so much traffic because he fell asleep on the wheel.
Oh shit! I was going to ask, like, what happens to your boy?
Is this with a loud, flashy car?
No, we were actually in a minivan. Okay. We were in like a Dodge Caravan that it's another story, but he was sitting in the red light and like fell asleep.
Shit.
And then like somebody called the cops on us, obviously, because we were there for like a minute and
blocking traffic.
Yeah, blocking traffic, and the cops woke us up, and like he was like, "Oh shit!" and they smelled weed in the car. They took us out of the car. They searched the car. We literally had our stash was like the DW40 cans at the bottom, the bullshit stashes.
Yeah.
And like, that shit worked. We just had like a whole bunch of groceries on the back of the car and like had like, and when the cops used to come sometimes, we used to just fucking fling it through the back and like, have it in a Coke can. It was crazy.
So what happened? Did they arrest you?
No, they would search the whole car and
Didn't
just
find
and then just let it go and let us go.
Really?
Yeah.
They smell all the weed, so you sleep.
They didn't find anything. Yeah. But sometimes they would find something and we would go to the bookings overnight. Like we got arrested a few times together, dumb shit like that.
Oh, where they put you to central booking and
for weed, and they would never find a Coke. And like literally, they would take the car and put it. They put it in this garage. I forgot what. Like every precinct has like a garage that
like an impound lot.
Yeah, and we would go back to the car and our Coke would be there.
Wow.
Like
I'm surprised they didn't put the dogs.
Yeah. No, we never got the dogs on us. We never got the dogs.
They probably thought you guys were just a bunch of kids.
Yeah, just a bunch of kids smoking weed.
Yeah,
and just hanging out.
Well, at that point, how old were you?
And like 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they didn't think like, oh, these guys are drug kingpins. Like,
They knew that we were making money. They knew that we were selling Coke. I don't know, if cops were communicating with each other, but we had the 5th and the 7th precinct. And I remember the 5th precinct, like, there was detectives coming up to me on the corner and be like, "Yo, we know you making money out here. Get the fuck out of the block." I remember one guy, this guy was like Detective Vasquez or some shit. I don't know. And he comes up to me. It was like 5 a.m. and I'm sitting in the milk crate. I got like $4,000 in my pocket and I'm like just counting my money in the stupa on 118 Eldridge. And he's like, "Yo, you made a lot of fucking money. I've been watching you all night. This is Detective Vasquez from the 5th precinct. You get the fuck out of here. If you hear the next album, I'll lock your ass up." And I'm like, good night. You know, I'm like, I'm out. I'll be back in the next morning. Yeah.
And you went back the next morning?
I was there. I was always there.
But I would have been so paranoid after that.
Nah, I would not have the drugs on me, so I'll just like put the drugs. I thought like, you know, when you're a kid, like you don't have the drugs on you, it's not yours, and you know, whatever. I mean, they could have just recorded me because it was just like a simple operation that was like being like, it was pretty obvious what I was doing. And you remember that block used to stink. Broome and Eldridge was like the stink.
I think it still does, right?
It smells a little bit better, but it would smell like they had the poultry food out on the street. And so it smelled like dead bird and chicken on that block.
Yeah.
So we used to get like Mistoline and like scrub the block down. And the cops used to be like, yo, it smells better. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Wow.
And they used to let me rock. Yeah, like it was crazy.
Yeah, because that's where they're bringing all the chickens.
All the chickens.
The live chickens, yeah.
At its apex, how many people did you have under you?
It was probably like 23 people around there. I know it was over 20
And
people.
how did they get compensated?
So basically we had G-Packs.
Now, what's that?
G-Pack. So basically I had everybody would get 24 bags and that'll be a G-Pack. And so from the G-Pack you get, you know, that's $1,000 pack. It'll be $1,200 pack, but they'll get $200. Okay. And sometimes we would cut deals, you know, so sometimes the runner will come back with $900 out of the G-Pack, you know, because so basically every bag was $50. So we would do like 0.5. At that time, we were doing like 0.5 a bag, 0.5 grams, which is a half a gram for $50. And then a whole gram would be $100. And so 20 times, 50 would be 1,000. And then they had 4 bags for themselves as profit. And so we would just be sending them to the destinations through Nextels. And so we just like clicking them away, like, hey, yo, go to, I don't know, 34th and Park, go, you know, I don't know, everywhere. The phones never stopped ringing. It was just like nonstop fucking ringing.
That's crazy.
And that's how we operated, man. It was just crazy.
And how much were you making?
So we were seeing like $5 million in revenue.
A year?
A year. Yeah.
23 people.
Yeah.
$5 million.
Yeah. And Joey and I were like splitting like $2 million each. And the worker cost us about $1 million. So
20% would go to the workers.
Yep.
Not bad.
We had a really great connect.
That's a total revenue, or is that like profit? 2 million.
No,
each?
that would be profit.
5 million profit.
Yeah, no, 4 million profit.
4 million profit.
At a like 5 point something, you know, in revenue.
That's good profit margins, man.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, I mean, I was paying like $20,000 key, sometimes a little bit less, and we're bringing $100,000 on a key.
And how much does a key usually cost? Normally.
I mean, right now I have no idea.
Back then.
Back then, you were probably getting a key probably like 25, 26, 27.
Oh, so you got like 20% off.
Yeah, well, we were traveling.
Oh, that's how you guys got to.
We were doing some stupid shit.
And you guys would bring them on the planes?
Yeah, we were doing shit like that. Yeah.
Holy shit, you weren't scared. Yo, one time when I was a kid, I bought a snake in Florida.
Yeah.
And I had to bring that.
That's contraband.
I bought a little corn snake.
Garter snake.
Yeah,
you put it in your pocket or something?
And I put it like in one of those, because my dad had a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I put it in one of those wonton containers. And I just poke holes in them. And it was just a little baby snake. And I put it in my cargo pants. And I was terrified.
Well, I was yeah. I'm going to tell you how it went down. Like we would get kids to bring them over too. They were like 14, 15-year-old kids from, you know, different places. And they were coming with a lot of shit in their underwear. And I was hopping on planes too, going to different states. So I had a spot in Vermont.
To buy?
No, to sell.
To sell?
Yeah. So I was taking shit on the plane to sell in Vermont. And
why? Oh, you doing like, you're selling in bulk in Vermont?
Yeah, I was selling in bulk in Vermont. But the profit and the turnaround was crazy. I just dropped it off and got the money, and I was making like, I was getting like $40,000 on a key that was, you know, I was doubling up right away. And I was coming back in 2 days, you know, so it was just in and out, you know. And it was crazy. That was crazy. And how that fucking whole journey started was just crazy. It all started on Eldridge and Broom.
That connection.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Vermont connection. It was like some girl that was like, she got smacked by some dude from Smith, and he was on the corner arguing with her, and she was crying, but she was bad. Like she looked good, you know. So I went up to her and I was like, "Yo, you okay?" Da, 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 da. So I started rapping to her. I got her number, and she had a friend with her, and so me and my boy Joey, we were living in Campos on 12th and C. So this is where Joey, I grew up in the projects over there. So, and I was like renting a room from him. So we go back, we started smoking with them, and he like went with his girl, with her friend, into the room, and I stood out in the living room with the other girl, and we're just smoking and hanging, and it was like 5 a.m, and she was like, "Yo, I came down here to, you know, get some coke. Do you know where I could get some?" And she didn't know I was selling coke. And I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And I was like, "Yo, how much you need?" She was like, "Yo, I need 300 grams. Can you get to me?" And I'm like, I didn't have it at that time, but I was like, "Yo, let me call my boy. I'm gonna go get it for you." It was 5 a.m. I hit up my boy. I pick up the coke from Brooklyn. I got like 300 grams. Went off. Me and her drove all the way to Vermont. Joey woke up like at 9 in the morning. He's like, "Yo, where the fuck you at? You fucking disappeared with this girl, you know, blah blah blah. We got to get to work, all this shit." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm in Vermont." He's like, "What the fuck, bye?" And so I go all the way over there. I come back with mad fucking money. He's like, "How the fuck?" I come back with like 10 G's, you know, profit for myself or some shit like some crazy shit like that. And then he and I was like, "Yo, she wants more." And so it was just like back and forth. And so that's at that time is when we had, you know, my boys, like I needed more people to manage the block because I was doing this traveling, and I'm getting on planes with fucking half a keys.
Bro, you got like balls. Like I mean.
But before you didn't get on this machine in the airport that you put your arms up and all this shit.
That's right.
You just go through the metal detector.
Right,
so
yeah.
for me, it was just like, it's in my nuts. Nobody's gonna stop me if I don't ring.
Right.
And so I just make sure I didn't fucking ring. I make sure I don't have a belt on. I went through it, and I was coming back with like $40,000-$50,000 in my pockets.
Where were you putting all this money?
I used to buy some sneakers.
Mattress?
I used to buy some sneakers when I was over there, and that's how, like, traveling back, I would like stick it in the sneakers and.
But like at home, like how do you keep millions of dollars at home?
It's sneaker boxes.
I know you didn't
safes.
open like a Chase bank account. And put
I had like 4 bank accounts, but I didn't have a lot of money in there.
Yeah, so you would keep everything at home.
Yeah, in different places. Yeah,
around the house.
Not the house, but like different
places.
stash houses. Yeah.
Stash houses. Man, that's a crazy gig.
It was crazy.
At any point, you didn't feel like someone was going to like rob you, or because in that game, it can be very dangerous when you start getting big.
So
either from the law or from people from the streets.
I mean, we did get robbed. I didn't think we were gonna get robbed because we're not messing around with people in the streets. We were dealing with like, you know, hipsters, Wall Street people. Like,
and at the same time, when people usually in our area where we grew up, they don't when they see a white person right away, they're like, "Oh, that's a cop. That's a cop," and then they want to stay away from them.
Yep. And so
you
like,
you guys did the opposite.
Yeah, we did the opposite. We were like, I know this person's not a fucking cop.
That's a good customer.
They were just smoking weed in a bar and like drinking, and they fucking rolling on the ground like they're fucked up. You know, that's a customer. You know what I mean? So we just changed our target market and wasn't scared. You know, the myth was like, and back in the day, anybody that came up to you, you know, was probably a cop. You know, growing up here, and you know, I just knew they were not fucking cops because they were little kids. Like they were, you know,
they were young
kids, young, and they were all fucked up. You know, so
you know, actually, I don't know. I seen some cops that look super young,
like 21 Jump
They
Street.
look, yeah, they look like teenagers. I've seen some cops,
Yeah.
and they would have. I guess they were undercover or detectives because they had the necklace badge.
And so
they
that's
look
how I
like kids.
knew.
They look like high school kids.
A lot of the times they would have the beads. They would change, and I've been approached so many times by undercover cops with the bead with the chain because I know they had the
beaded necklaces.
yeah
right?
the beaded the metal beaded necklaces, and you could tell like, yo, that's a fucking cop. Like, get the fuck out away from me.
Yeah, it's the same one for those of you listening. It's like same ones that kind of hold the dog tags.
Yeah, like the dog Marine
Yeah.
Army tags. Yeah.
So that's how you would differentiate. If you see a beaded necklace, you would
I
kind of
know a couple times I saw that and I was like, nah, I'm not fucking with this dude.
So you noticed like certain things.
that's the red flags.
Yeah, the red flags.
Yeah, there was a few times where there, you remember the cab that was like undercover detective.
AK-47.
Yeah, AK-47.
Yeah, that's the one you saw. Yeah,
No, there
they
was
used to
like
run on-
TW-47. There was 6W. I don't know, some shit.
Yeah.
But they
it's them too because it's so blatant. They either have the older model cabs, or they would have the big antennas coming out, or the big lights on the side. Like, dude,
yeah,
come on,
and they would creep mad slow. Like,
you driving through the parks, just super slow.
Real yellow taxis do not slow down for
They
shit.
drive by. They drive right. They cruise on Forsyth.
I know, right? Like, you're
slow,
not
yeah.
picking anybody up on Forsyth in the yellow cab, and so. I remember one time like they pulled up on a corner of Broome and Eldridge, and I'm in the front of the bodega, and this lady comes out of their cab in the back of the cab, and she's like, "Hey, do you know where I could score some candy?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck speaks like that?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gotta be a cop. And I saw the fucking cab in the corner, and I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And so I went up to the lady on the counter. I was like, yo, ella necesita candy. So I tell her, like, and she was like, oh, chocolate, snicker. And she was like, no, I need like I need some drugs. And I was like, oh, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And I walked out with her, and I just see her getting in the fucking back of it. I'm like, yo, you guys are mad fucking obvious, yo. Like, mad hot.
Did you ever feel any sense of fear?
For me, I just didn't give a fuck,
So it was straight up like live young, die young. I mean, just kind of go hard. I don't care.
It was.
I wanted to live fast, die young.
But I also knew the repercussions of what I was doing, because I never had. At certain points I had a lot of work on me, but most of the time when I was like running around the streets pretty reckless and not really watching my back, I had a little bit of coke on me. And anything under like 8-ball size 3.5 grams, you'll be charged with a misdemeanor.
Slap on the wrist.
So I knew I was gonna be like, hey, all right, I'll maybe get an inpatient drug program or some shit like that, and I'm done. And so I knew the repercussions and the law pretty well, that I knew that I was like, hey, I can't have this amount of work on me or I'm gonna get knocked.
Okay, so there was some thinking going into it where you felt confident, if I get caught, it's not going to be as bad, and I could be right back out and continue my operations. So I guess you were just kind of finding the legal loopholes for the minimum damage. So that in a way you felt like you were outsmarting the system.
But there was never a moment where as your business started to grow and expand, you didn't think that you caught the eye of like the higher ups, like the FBI or people investigating? Like
I felt some type of energy like that. There was certain times where I felt it and I was right, and I should have like trusted my gut and like, and dealt with it. But there was times where I just didn't give a fuck. Like I just thought I was invincible, and I was just like I was unstoppable and all the shit. But then there was also like times where I've been stopped. Like I remember going up to Vermont, and I had a half a brick on me. I have a half a kilo of coke, which would have like got me in the feds. I'm shut down. I'm not coming home for a very long time.
It's a lot of weight.
And I got caught in the New York State side, crossing over to the bridge. And so I have all this work in my underwear and my boxes. I'm smoking weed in this old fucking car. I have like this like guy next to me that's, we're co-driving. And it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. We get pulled over. because I ran out of fucking gas. There was no gas station. There was no Google, so you don't know where the fucking
That's
next
right.
gas
That's
station.
right.
And I remember we're going down like a 25, 30 mile per hour zone. And I was trying to catch all the hills, you know, so I was like turning off the fucking car and like catching a hill.
I've been there.
and just cranking it back, you know, like, and so I'm like trying to push it. And then at one point it went, I did like 40 on a 25 and I get pulled over and I'm like, fuck. And I remember I had like 6 bags of weed in my back pocket. And I had you remember the Avrex jackets?
Yeah, dude.
And so
I had one.
I pulled the weed and I put it on my sleeve, you know, because it was thick, and so I had a sweater.
Wait, so you had the weed in your Avrex jacket?
No, I had it in my back pocket, in my back like jean pocket,
and then you stuffed it into your Avrex jacket.
Yeah, in my sleeve of the Avrex jacket right here. So when you felt it, it was like the
it felt like
leather,
part of the padding.
Yeah, just the padding of the leather.
No, did you have like a inner zipper in the sleeve, or was it? Oh, so you just stuffed it loosely?
I just stuffed it because I was just like, fuck, if I'm gonna get caught, I'm gonna get knocked for like a bag of weed. The dude's gonna make this shit a big deal. I had like, I don't know, like 6 bags of weed or something like that. And so he pulls us in the back of the car. He's like, where you guys going? I was like, yo, my girlfriend goes to Burlington University, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that was the story. And then, and he was like, why were you speeding? I was like, we just ran out of gas, like, da, 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 da. He was like, get on the hood of the car. So he starts searching me. 1 bag of weed dropped in my back pocket. No. And so he pulls the bag of weed out. Oh. And I'm like, I screamed. I was like, fuck this fucking bitch. She made me get a bag of weed for her officer. I'm so sorry. Yo, please, just throw it away. Da, 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 da. He was like, calm down. He was like, do you have anything in the trunk? And like, he opened up the trunk and he was searching. There was nothing there. I was like, look here, like, my girl made me bring her bag of weed. I didn't want to do it, man. And while I'm telling him the story, the coke is falling off my pants. Like, my underwear is slipping down.
Sliding to your
shoes. And so I'm like, yo, officer, I really need to take a piss. He was like, I go to the fucking bush and pee. And so I go to the back of the tree and I'm just like stuffing the shit, like making sure it's not coming out of my fucking boxer briefs. And I come out. And he's like, yo, today's your lucky day. I'm just going to write you a ticket for the weed. And he wrote me a ticket. And I had to actually drive like 6 hours north to fucking pay that ticket one day. But it was crazy.
But that's it.
That was crazy. Yeah.
That's the best case scenario.
Yeah. I got
Dude, that's like a fucking movie, man.
Yeah,
like, as I'm listening to your story, I'm going, holy shit. Like, if I'm watching a movie, I'm like, no, oh my gosh. Like,
I had the half a brick of coke in my underwear. I had like a half a kilo.
Can you imagine that?
In my underwear. And
the weed falls out and then the coke falls out?
Yeah.
He's like walking and then just slips out.
Yo, it was crazy.
Bro,
I got very lucky.
That is... I don't. That's bananas, man.
But I got caught eventually.
Where we grew up, it was gang infested.
Yeah,
infested with gangs, and there's also a lot of people that are low income, lower class. Mostly everyone living in that part of New York City at that time. And if we saw somebody with brand new sneakers, or wearing the newest clothes, Avrex, they got the Jordans on, or the new Air Max, or if they're pulling up in a foreign car, a German car, or a souped up car. There's a lot of questions start going, and jealousy too.
Oh yeah.
Did any other gangs ever try to approach you like, hey, you're gonna give us a cut if you're gonna sell in our area?
Nah. But I did get into fights. Like, I remember, but this was like before I started selling to like all the hipsters and shit, when I was just standing on the corner, like hustling, on the block. When I was like going to Sewell Park, back in the day, like that high school was like, I don't know how it is right now, but like there was so many gangs in that school and there was so many fights every day in that school, and I was selling weed in that school, so I got into fights because of that too. So it was
because the other kids didn't want you to sell them weed.
Yeah, there was like the blood kids, there were the different gangs in there, that was hustling, and we got into arguments and fights, and I didn't fucking stop hustling, and I remember one day, I don't know. I couldn't even sell drugs on my mom's block on Rivington and Eldridge. Like there was one guy that was running the block, and one of his workers came to my block to buy drugs, and then he started dealing with me. Like he started dealing for me, and the guy was like, "Yo, why you dealing with this? Well, one of my guys, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yo, he fucking, he had money. He wanted to deal with me, blah blah blah." And so, he bought shit off of me, and so he's like, "Yo, don't do that shit." I was like, "Fuck you." So he sucker punched me right on the corner, and this dude was big. Like I'm just a little fucking punk on the street, and he was like 6'2". And I took his legs, dropped them, started punching him. And like, I remember his friends like pulled me off his back and they just held me down while, the
big 6'2" guy.
Yeah.
And he started
I was
it.
5'6".
And he's a grown man.
Yeah. And so I remember I had a little 38 and I went back, a little burner, and I went back to the block to go get it, and then came back, and I was like, let me catch this motherfucker. I was just so angry, like. But a lot of people respected me, a lot of people respected me.
So what happened? Did you catch him?
Like, no, I didn't catch, but then he called me. You remember there's a barber shop still there, but there was a barber shop on Allen Street, and I remember I'm getting a cut. In the barber shop, I'm in the chair. This guy's like, doing the blade.
That's a gangster movie right there.
Yeah, and well, the barber was not trying to cut me, but the dude approached me while I was in the barber shop,
compromising position.
And I'm like, and he's like, "Yo, let me talk to you outside." And so I go outside.
The same guy, the big 6'2" guy.
So okay. I go outside. I even had the fucking, the
cloth
on me. Yeah. So even if I'm trying to say, like,
he's still got the cream on his face.
Yeah, I couldn't even fucking move. But he approached me, and I knew this guy for years. Like,
wait, did you have your 38 on you?
Nah, I didn't have anything on me, and I knew this guy for years. Like, me and him grew up. He's older. He went to school with my sister in Seward. Back in like the early '90s and shit, and his dad, were friends with my dad. So like, he approached me. He's like, yo. Come talk to me. And I go outside the barbershop, and he told me the story with the kid that was, hustling for him, but was now hustling for me. So that guy, sent like dudes from uptown with guns to his parents' house to rob him. And, they almost tied up his family and all this shit. And it was like a whole thing, like he backs. And so he thought I was a part of that whole shit, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not." You know what I mean? I don't deal like I'm not grimy like that. Like I wouldn't fuck with.
Oh, he thought you were part of like the whole breaking and entering.
Yeah, thing.
Because at one point, Elias, it was big. There was so many little crews doing B&Es.
Yeah, and it was just crazy. But yeah, we squashed it there, and we moved on, and that was it.
Wow. So no gangs ever came up to you? That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy. Because you must have been like famous in that community, right? Because you had the cars, the clothes.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was looking at me like I was driving some crazy shit sometimes. I had a fucking crazy M3.
So people knew of your, I guess, reputation. So people knew that you were carrying. So you're protected.
Yeah, but they were also like I don't know, like the dudes on my like mom's block, Stanton, all that shit, like that whole crew over there also like made money with me. Like I was also like doing, we were making money, even though we couldn't stand in each other's corners, and like I was not like on their block, like even though like I was probably standing on the corner one time, but I was not dealing on their corner. You know what I mean? Like,
so there was
they
like
needed 100 grams here, 100 grams there. Like, yo, I'm gonna go get it for you, and I'll make a cut. You got a cut.
So you guys did business indirectly.
Exactly.
Where they saw you as useful.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about street people. You're not worrying about the feds or the law right now at this point. So those are two big barriers usually in the drug game, right? Neither of those things, but now you got to look at in-house then, right? Because usually when if you don't have to deal with that, and that's a luxury to not have to deal with the exterior shit, but the interior shit inside your house. There's when people start looking at your operations, naturally they go, "Yo, I could do this shit too," right? or they'll go, man, fuck Coss.
Jealousy is a bitch.
Did that happen at any point, or were you also like, was that also good for you?
Yeah, no, that was not good for me, and that's how.
So there was jealousy within inside your brass.
Yeah, that's how everything went down. That's how That's how I got caught.
Not Joey, right? Joey was your right hand man.
Joey, yeah, me and him we still tight. I mean, I'm not seeing him every day. He's doing some stupid, crazy shit still. But
is he? Now you said he went to jail.
He came home. When was it? Late last year.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he came home late last year. He has his own plumbing company, and he tried to work with me with ComBody, but his parole officer, not his work release officer, didn't allow him to, because we were like co-defendants in a case or some shit, and it was stupid.
So he probably wanted him to keep a space from you in case you guys come up with any smart ideas.
Creative ideas, right?
Who was it? Was it somebody in your inner circle, somebody that you guys were close to?
Yeah.
Or was it just some guy that you hired that said, you know what, let me usurp him?
Nah, it was some dude that we knew for years. Like he lived in 45 Allen. You know what I mean? Like he went to IS 131. You know what I mean? So
somebody that you guys knew your whole life.
We know practically my whole life. You know what I mean? I didn't start hanging out with him till I was like a early teen, maybe 14, 15. But Joey knew him way longer than me. You know, they grew up together, and so he was not a stupid kid. He went behind our backs to try to start a service behind our back while he was our dispatcher. So at one point, the operation was running so smooth where we had different shifts of drivers. We had 2 dispatchers. We had a condo on the Upper West Side where the dispatcher was like handling all the drugs. He was giving out the 24 packs, the G packs, and then like answering the phone. So basically, like when a driver's like running out, they'll go to the stash spot, pick up the G packs from him, and he's still answering phones and communicating with people. Long story short, he tried to start a new service behind our back. So he takes a phone. He starts stealing our customers. He got his cousin as one of the drivers, and his cousin is handing out the cards to this new phone. And so the cousin doesn't know that some of the customers are like really old customers that have my personal number. So one guy, Dominic, he hits me up. And he's like, yo, buddy, like, I got some like purple bag. I forgot what color he said. And it's like, it's just not the same shit that you guys usually sell. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about, purple bag? And because we only sold clear bags. And he was like, yeah, I got some shit. It's hurting my nose. Blah, blah. So I'm like, yo, whoa, are you sure you called my people? He's like, yeah. And they gave me a new number. And I'm like, what's that number? And so I got that number. I called it, and this dude picked up, my dispatcher. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck is... Oh, word?
Shit.
Done. You done. And so I remember going to... We had to connect with the T-Mobile store. It was like one of those, Boost Mobile stores and T-Mobile stores and shit. And so they shut the phone. It was all prepaid phones. So we shut the phones down. I opened up new lines on new phones. And so he had no way of connect. And then I took his phone that he opened up, and I shut that one and opened it up. And so I'm running the services now. Me and Joey are running the services now. Not like
the
motorcycle back.
Yeah.
Welcome to New York.
Yeah.
We get police sirens, ambulance, motorcycles. Yeah.
It lends to the ambiance.
Yeah.
Wait, so that guy took your business model and essentially mimicked it.
Well, he tried to just steal the customers away from me. Right. But he also was trying to, mimic my model where he was like handing out cards. And one of the cards ended up in a federal detective or agent. I don't know, some DT got the card, his card. And so, after we shut him down, and now me and Joey are like not trusting anybody, and I had somebody else like operate the phones that we really trust. Like it we started operating with that phone that we took away from him. And so that phone was being tapped by the feds.
What?
And so we're sending our own drivers, because we thought like, yo, he's trying to steal our customers. So every person that has that new number has to be our customer, not knowing that, you know, a Fed ran into that number. He didn't snitch. He didn't tell anybody, but he gave, you know, his cousin gave out a card to some random person that was a Fed, and they had, at the end of the day, we did like 40 sales direct to them. And so it was like a whole year investigation. While the whole thing is going down, one of my drivers bumps into one of the agents, and one of the agents is asking him like, "Hey, I need a large amount of work. Like I want like, you know, 50 grams, you know." He said, "I want 100 grams or something like that." And so anything above 60 grams, you get indicted for like an A1 felony, A2 felony. And so that's what they wanted to trap us. But I never went over, you know, single amounts bullshit bags, which couldn't get us more than, you know, a C felony at the end of the day. And so one of my drivers went behind my back, you know, got work. I had no idea this was going on. And he sold them, you know, probably like 130 grams. I don't know how much it was exactly, but he went over to some other dude.
How did he even get that much though?
So he knew some other people and some other people.
So it was like, his own deal then.
Yeah, it was his own deal.
Cut you
but
guys.
he went behind my back to do that deal.
But the Fed is thinking he's connected to you guys.
To me, yeah.
And you're the one that you greenlit it.
Yeah, and I'm getting supposedly that work to me. And so there was this black guy in the case that I had no idea his name was Ty. When we all get locked up, that day we got locked up, I'm seeing this dude and he's like, and this other guy we used to call Sensei, like Sensei used to be like, he started talking to the other guy, Ty, and I'm like, who the fuck is Ty? And he's on the other side of the cell. And he's like, yo, that's my boy. You know, he got caught in this shit up too. And I'm like, what? And then I just started like reading. After a while, I was like locked up and lawyers like telling me like all the information. I'm like, I had nothing to do. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. But how we really got knocked was that, you know, one of my drivers basically told.
I snitched.
So all of that wasn't enough to indict you.
It was enough to like get me on like bullshit case that wouldn't be.
But they would have probably lost because they
would have won, but I would have probably got like 5 years, 3 years the most. Like
Really
they were trying to put me as like a kingpin status.
Okay.
Like almost like Rico. They're trying to get you at Rico, on Rico.
So one of your drivers, so I guess they caught him probably on something, and he didn't want to do a little bit of time.
So he got caught with selling one bag to them.
I knew it. It's always that. They always get him for a little thing.
One little fucking
And then they
bag.
get scared.
He would have got a fucking
slap on the wrist.
probation.
Yeah, probation.
And
but he didn't know. He's like, oh shit, I'm scared.
And then he was also an immigrant from the Dominican Republic.
So he didn't know.
So they're threatening him with deportation. He has a kid over here, family, and all this shit. So
yeah,
he basically told. He said everything. You know, he knew where the stash was at, and I had a stash house in the Bronx. You know, and they came while I was in there. They had a warrant, and they just, you know, it found me with a kilo and a half, all bagged up, and that was it.
Did they catch you? Now, how did they catch you? Were you guys all together at the stash house? Or?
No, how they were catching me was basically I was sending one driver at a time to different destinations. Okay. And so
you had the couriers out.
So I had the drivers out. It was about 10 drivers that night. 8 of them got knocked, and 2 of them didn't.
That night?
That night.
But wouldn't you know if none of them are talking to you? Or?
So you remember when the next cells used to like freeze up and it used to be like bing.
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah.
So
if you don't hear that doo-doo.
Yeah, it was not going through. So I thought it was a problem with Nextel. And so I'm like sending my drivers like yo, go to 24th and 5th, crook, and then when they would get there, they'd be like, yo, send them out. I'm on the northeast corner, southeast corner, west. You know, that's how we operated. And so I would call the customer back and be like, hey, my guy's on in a blue Impala on the northeast corner on the 24th and 5th, you know, in front of a Rite Aid or some shit. And they'll go out, get in the back of the car, serve them, drive a block, and then that's it. They'll go to the next destination. So I was doing that, and I was sending my drivers, but all of them were like catching that click. And as I was sending them to destination to destination, nobody was getting delivered. So now at this time, it was Thursday night, I had about 40 people, and I had an easel board where I would like just write the first name, last, you know, like just keep track, you know, what they bought, blah, blah, blah. And every time I sent somebody, I got that click, and
You didn't. So you just thought it was the network down.
I thought it was the network down.
But they were like people, like the feds were listening.
And so, yeah, the feds were listening, and they were capturing them. So I was sending them to that destination, and then they was just picking them up and shutting their phone down. And so they, at the end of the day, they came and so basically, all right, so this is how it went down. I had all these people to see, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go out there and make the money myself. So I grabbed like, I don't know, probably like 100 bags from the stash house. I put it in my underwear. I go downstairs. As soon as I open the M3 door, like they just fucking jumped on back of me, and like, well, no, it was so basically there was a detective, Joseph King. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. White dude in the South Bronx. I'm walking out the house, and he says, Coss Marte, and I'm like, who the fuck is you? He's like, there's a DEA drug enforcement agency agent, Joseph King. Your whole operation's over. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I
It's like, this is prank.
Yeah, because it was one dude. And I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of here. So I'm like, I'll bounce. I'm like trying to run. And as soon as I open my car door, they just tackle me behind me. And
where'd they come from? Like from just
well,
like
they definitely have people.
Yeah.
like
outposted.
hidden.
yeah.
And they took me, and yeah, and then, well, when I was out there, they said we have a warrant for the house. They went inside the house. They found, and they were trying to find the shit. I remember.
Oh, so they had the warrant when they arrested you already?
Yeah. So they were coming in the house while I was going out, basically.
Wow.
So they were gonna come raid the house, but I was leaving the house,
Right.
and they caught me outside, and then they brought me in, and they were like, yo, we know. They was like, where's the drugs at? And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. And I have like 100 bags of coke in my underwear. There's like a brick and a half in there. I have like 2 guns that they didn't find, and then I had like a pound of weed that they found too. And so they go inside to the room, and they were like, where's it at? And I'm like, I don't have shit. And so they go to the corner. I had like, I don't know. I when I came home, I had like 500 pairs of Jordans. And so they went to the exact Jordan box where the drugs is at.
What? How did it stand out in any way?
No.
Damn.
It was like, it was all stacked. It was like the 3rd Jordan box, and like they just pulled it out and opened it. And they were like, we know everything. You ain't got to fucking lie to us.
So they already knew.
And so right away, I'm like, there's only 3 people that fucking know the stash.
Oh.
And so I already knew one out of 3. One person, 2 of them didn't get caught. One person got caught. So I didn't. It was the driver that was in the precinct with me, and we got to Central Brooklyn, so we're all in the same cell. I'm like, yo, who the fuck told? Blah blah blah. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna take all the rap down. I'm gonna take the whole rap. Like, I got caught blame. You know, I'm done. You know, this is my 3rd, coke felony. I got caught with drugs in the spot. Like,
at that time, does strike 3 matter here? Like the when Giuliani put that 3 strikes rule?
So they took that rule out, but they were trying to hit me with the life sentence because they had the Rockefeller laws into play.
The RICO laws for life?
So basically, anybody that got caught with anything over 60 grams got life behind their sentence. Whether it was like 2 to life, 3 to life, they had life parole basically. But you get hit on the board, so you could stay in prison. Technically, if you don't do the right thing in prison, you could stay in there for life. And so I know people that had like 2 to life that was still there doing 10 years, and so they were trying to hit me with 15 to life. And so they were trying to hit me with that Kingpin charge. Yeah. But while I was locked up, the laws changed. So remember when Governor Spitzer cheated on his wife with that prostitute and he got impeached, Governor Patterson came into play. And while I'm going back and forth to court, they changed the Rockefeller laws. So now everything was just a mandatory minimum sentence. So now I'm facing 12 to 24 years, anywhere between on a flat bid. And so now everybody's getting a flat bid. There's no more real life sentences and not for drugs. And so my lawyer was like, yo, with these minimum sentencing laws, the best I could do is get you 12 years. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the 12 years and I'm going to be over. And I eventually got 7 years and 5 parole. And so they split it like that.
Was it, you struck a deal with them by pleading guilty? Or?
Yeah, I pleaded guilty. But
and that was a deal that your lawyer struck? 7 years, 5 years?
7 years and 5 parole.
So you knew that prior to going in?
No, I didn't. So didn't.
You thought you were doing 12?
I thought I was doing 12. I thought I was doing 12 flat and 5 on top of that.
So when did you realize you were doing 7?
I went to court and the DA threw the number out there.
You must have been like, oh my gosh,
I
that's
said guilty.
music to my ears.
I jumped on it. And I remember my brother and my dad were in the courtroom. And when they said that, I smiled and I looked back at them. And they thought I was crazy.
I would think you're crazy too, man. If
but if
I'm your boy and I'm there, and then you turn around and smile at me, I'm like, yo, Coss, what the fuck is wrong with you? You crazy?
But I heard 7 years, so I'm like, yo, I'm coming home. Like, imagine spending a decade in prison rather than
I get you. I get you.
Years.
But if I didn't know what you were thinking. And you turn around and smile. I'm like, yo, that's a joker right there. Yeah. So you did exactly 7 years, or did they let you out a little earlier?
I came home. I came home in 4.
Oh, you did 4 years old?
Yeah, I came home in 4 because I was eligible 3 years into my sentence. I was eligible for shock.
What's that?
Shock is like 6-month military boot camp type of prison. So it's a prison. It's a medium facility.
Well, you went to Rikers, right?
But I went to Rikers. Rikers is just a holding cell. And so after Rikers, you plead guilty and then you get sent upstate. And so I'm doing my time upstate, and then I get a letter saying that, because if you're... so basically it was not the first time I was upstate. So my first time I was upstate, I got shock. So I had 3 years. They gave me 6 months on a shock. And so shock is like... really strict program up there. Ex-Marines turn correctional officers. It's like a boot camp that, they beat you down and you come and you work out the whole time and they try to reform you. And so before you was only eligible to do it one time ever. And so after Governor Patterson came into play, they changed that law, and it was like you could do it as many times as you want, as long as you have 3 years towards your release. And so 3 years towards your earliest release. And so my merit was up in 3 years from there. So I was like, I took the program and I was like, I'm gonna be home in 6 months.
So how it reduces it by 40% your time?
Yeah. So basically it depends. So if I have a 10-year sentence and I have 3 years towards my release. So and time is different in prison. So basically, if you have a drug charge, every year is 8 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just the law. And then and if you have a violent charge, every year is 10 months.
A year doesn't equate to a whole year. Prison time is not real time. Very good.
Well, technically it is, because you could do the whole time if you max out, but you have to do something like really stupid and like
Right.
fuck up an officer or like get into some real shit, and then you're probably gonna max out. But and even with that, if you do that early on in your sentence, like, and you start doing well, through your whole, like, let's say if you do 10 years and in the first 2 years you fuck up, and they're like, all right, you're gonna probably hit the board and like not come home till 10 years, actual 10 years. But if you do well, you get out, 10 months a year if it's a violent charge. If it's a non-violent charge, it's 8 months a year.
Okay.
So it's complicated. It's
Well, it's sort of like you're knocking time off the board if for good behavior, right? Sort of like
Exactly.
that, yeah.
So there's an incentive not to act wild.
yeah.
Now, the shock program, you said it's a 6-month military type program.
Yep.
So I guess you're doing a lot of physical workouts.
Yep.
Is there anything else that goes along with it? They're just telling you to do crazy pull-ups, runs, sprints, push-ups.
So they do stupid shit, and it's a hands-on program. So if they tell you it's a hands-on program, so if you're not doing the rules, they put hands on you. These officers, I'm talking about, these are like white Marines,
Hardcore guys.
Most of them are racist. And they're calling you niggers, spick, excuse my line. No, that's what they fucking called us. And like, and if you're not like, you just got to shut up and do whatever the fuck they tell you to do, and just keep your head down and just fucking move.
Now, are they saying that to just try to teach you discipline, to put you in your place and humble you guys, or are they truly racist?
Both.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that scary? Like, if someone's racist, they basically hate you just the way they can't stand the way you look.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, you're a criminal. So you're double reinforcing their whatever shit they believe in. And they're looking at you and you're allowing them to just abuse you.
And some people from the streets, they're like, they can't take it.
That's the thing.
So, when you go in the program, you start off with 60 people.
Wait, it's called shock, like SHOCK?
Yeah, like they're shocking you.
Okay.
And so you start off with 60 people when you start the program. Usually only like 20 graduate. So if you get kicked out of the program, you go into the box, and then you restart the program if you want to.
Wait, time out. If you drop out of the program yourself,
Yeah.
they put you in a box?
Yeah, like solitary confinement.
For the rest of the time?
No.
Or
It
just
depends it depends what happens, or maybe they transfer you to another prison, but you can stay in solitary confinement temporarily until you leave.
Holy shit.
Some people stay for like a week, maybe. I got kicked out of the program and I had to restart over, so I sat in the box.
Wait, so why'd you get kicked out?
So fucking this is where like my whole life changed, and this is how I started Combat, and for those that don't know what Combat is, we call it a prison style boot camp where we hire people coming out of the prison system to teach fitness classes today. But
That's where you started your own gym.
and so I took the same a lot of the techniques that we did in shock, but I also learned it from my first bid and implemented it in my second bid while I was in the yard. And I lost a lot of weight doing that while I was locked up.
I bet.
And so I did that, but I went to the box because an officer was searching me really aggressively. And they do random searches over there. So they put me on the wall. He starts, getting between my legs, and I move I twitch my waist while he was like, trying to manhandle me. And he punched me behind my head, and he said, "Don't fuck with me today, it's not my day." And as he punched me, like he when you punch somebody behind the head, you could get like,
You get dazed.
yeah. And so I got dazed, and I got knocked down on the ground. I was on the ground, and I got up on him, and I turned around on him. I didn't turn around on him to like hit him, because I didn't want to lose my opportunity for the program. And I wanted to I had 2 months to go home. I had 2 months left to go home.
Wait, was this one of the programs, like shock guys?
Yeah, the
that
military guys. Yeah.
That was the dude that punched you?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
And so I got up, and I was like trying to avoid another hit. And he pressed a button in his walkie-talkie, and they have like this alarm that they have in his walkie-talkie. They call it the pin. And as soon as that button is pressed, the whole alarm for the whole prison goes off. About a half a dozen officers come to the scene. They beat the crap out of me, and they throw me in the box. And it was not the first time.
So they jumped you?
Yeah. And so they kick you. Yeah, I was on the floor in a fetal position, and they just like beating me down. They cut.
I bet you that felt like an eternity.
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that.
It feels like a long time. They cuffed
And then
me.
they throw you in a box right afterwards.
They cuffed me and they throw
No
me in a
medical
box.
attention.
No medical attention.
Not even checking like if they gave you brain damage or concussion.
You see a medical person come see your cell after like 24 hours, within 24 hours.
But what if you got some like hemorrhage and shit? That's too late.
They'll give
That's
you
crazy.
ibuprofen. That's basically what they get. That's what they do in prison, man. That's the only medication that they fucking recommend is ibuprofen. And so I was like, I remember when the medical lady came up to my cell and she was like, "Oh, you okay? Everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's good. Just get me out of here, yo. I didn't do anything wrong. Blah blah blah. Put me back," because I had 2 months left to go home, and it was not the first time I was in the box. But I was like, "Yo, fuck! Like my son is waiting for me. Like my whole family knew I was coming home in 2 months, and now I'm not coming home."
So
Yeah.
did your time get extended?
So I had to do an extra year behind that.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How long were you in the box for?
30 days at that time.
And that was the longest time you've ever been in a box?
So in and out of the box, I'd done 60 days. I'd done like a total of 8 months from like juvie time, my whole life.
When you're in a box, explain this to me. You're in, I guess, what was it, like 8x8?
9 by
Was it?
6,
9x6, okay.
around there, 10 by 6, kind of
And
same shit.
there's no stimulation for your senses there?
Is there a window? Just,
Yeah, I've been in cells where they have the windows. I've been in rooms where there's nothing in there.
yeah.
I've been in spaces where you have a bunkie,
Like in the box you're in, you don't see anyone and you're just in there for that amount of, let's say 30 days. You're just in there by
Yeah,
yourself for
yeah.
30 days.
And you take 2 showers a week. So sometimes the showers in your cell. Sometimes I've been in different boxes. So that box you basically get out. It was like Tuesday and Fridays you get to take a shower. And so you walk down like the tier, with a towel on and your sandals, and they stick you and they put you in another cell that has the shower, and you take a shower there and you have 12 minutes.
Oh man. Now, at any point were you going crazy mentally? Were you kind of losing it while you were there?
I was tight. I was mad. I was frustrated at the fact that I was supposed to go home, and because of this stupid incident that I did nothing wrong,
It was unprovoked.
yeah.
Right.
And so I felt like a victim, but I also, I felt like everything happened for a reason. And so that at that moment, I remember in my cell when I was placed in, I was pacing back and forth, and this officer comes up to my cell, and they, where they feed you the food is a slot, and so they open up the slot and he passes me, a few envelopes, paper, and they have like this like bendable pen, and so I grabbed that and I started writing a letter to my family, letting them know I'm not coming home. I need to get out of this situation. And I remember at that time, I wrote out a crazy letter. I wrote like 5 pages, back and forth. I enclosed it, and then I realized I had no stamp to send out this letter with. And so I'm even more frustrated at the fact that I can't communicate. I'm trying to get, to talk to my family, letting them know like I need some help. I need a lawyer. I need some type of representation to get out of the situation, to go back to the program and, leave in 2 months. And so your cops is coming. But it was a frustrating time where I was like banging my head on the wall. And
Like literally.
yeah, literally I sat on my bed and I was just banging my head on the wall. And I remember like 4 days sitting in there in the box, I got a letter from my sister. And my sister is like the most religious person I know. She's like Mother Teresa's child, and she tells me to read Psalm 91 from the Bible. And I'm like, I'm not reading no fucking Bible. And she gave me this Bible early on in my incarceration, and I never opened it up. The only reason I used it was to write phone numbers of my boys that were leaving. But I never read it. And she tells me to read this. And the only thing that follows you around in your whole prison sentence, whether you go to the box, wherever prison you go to or you get transferred, is your Bible. They can't take that away. They can't take away your religious items. And so I had this Bible, and out of boredom, probably sitting in the cell for like a week, I decided to open it up. And I turned to Psalm 91. And as soon as I started reading it, and I'm leaning on the bed like this on my back, and I'm reading it, and I turned to those pages, a stamp fell out of my Bible. And it was a stamp that I needed to communicate with my family, to let them know that I'm not coming home, like that whole letter that I wrote out, And I felt some type of hope. I felt some type of, I don't know. For me, it was like a miracle, I felt like chills run down my body. And at that point, for the first time, I really started reading the Bible. And I'm still not like I don't go to church every week. I'm not a super religious person, but I believe in a higher power. And I read the Bible from front to back, and I felt like what I was doing was wrong. I felt regret for all the shit that I've done in the street and all the crazy stuff, and I wanted to get back to society in a certain way. And the idea of fitness like popped up in my head. I lost a lot of weight. I was loving working out, and I helped guys work out in the prison yard. So I said I wanted to do this when I came home, and so I started using the time that I had, and I wrote out like a whole fake mini business plan in that cell. And I said I was going to start this prison style boot camp, and I wrote out like every routine. I actually came out with a book with it in 2018. And I started doing it. I came home a year later. I got re-entered into the program, did an extra 6 months, sat in intake and the box and all that stuff for a little while. And I came home and I started doing what I wrote.
Wow. That's crazy. And, it's scary listening to this. It's exciting. And, you're like the bad guy in this, but you're also kind of like the good guy. Like, it's like a movie where I'm rooting for this guy somehow to pull it because of the circumstances led you to that. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, how many of us do make bad choices? Just that you were way more ambitious. That said, I can't help but feel like this is a movie the whole time I'm listening to you. It sounds like you're telling me a story of a movie that you saw, but this is your real life. Has anyone ever approached you to do a movie?
Yeah, I've had a lot of production companies hit me up to do like reality shows, movies, scripted series, all that shit. But some of them are like crazy, ridiculous. Some, they jerk you, it's crazy. I had one guy come up to me, and he produced Biggest Loser, that show. Yep. And so he wanted to stick like 500-pound people in prison cells and have me scream at them. And I'm like,
oh, like a reality show with you as like the host?
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's weird.
Nah, you bugging out. Yo. I'm not doing that shit. And so I turned that down. But yeah, no, I've been approached left and right, and I just want to make sure like the TV industry, man, that's the biggest crux right there, yo. Right? They take advantage of people left and right, man, and you just got to be careful what you sign.
Like how did they try to take advantage of you?
So I've been filming a docuseries with a pretty famous director for the last 6 years, and she's been doing the right thing to me. But I got approached by ABC, and they hit me up and they were like, "Yo, we want you to do this movie, and we're gonna get a writer and all this stuff." And they sell you a big dream. They done this, they done that, and you're like, "Yo, this is the real deal right here." And so when the contract came to the table, they wanted to buy my life rights. And they wanted to buy my life rights, which means like, yo, I have no control of my name. I have no control of my image. Like, anything that's put out there and people are paying me for, they get a percentage. Even if I put my name on a T-shirt, they get a percentage off that T-shirt.
So they own you.
They basically own.
You would need their permission to do anything.
Yep.
For the rest of your life?
Yep, for the rest of my life.
Damn.
And they were trying to only give me 25 G's as like a down payment and then like residuals after. But like
residuals in the form of royalties?
Not technically royalties. Like with the movie industry, it's just a whole different language. Like it's just they don't call it royalties because royalties is like money off the top. Like you just get straight percentage off the top. This is like a percentage off a certain percentage off this percentage, you know. So
after they pay back a bunch of people and
exactly,
how much it costs for
and
this.
You just don't, and you never know if you're gonna get that fucking money, you know. And so it's crazy.
And this is like stuff that even if they don't produce it and other people produce, like for example, like you're saying like if you made a shirt for Combine, like and sell it at your gym, it's that portion of it of the profit goes to
Oh shit! So they would own your gym too?
They wanted royalties off Combody's name too.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What normal person would agree to that?
Is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
you don't understand the genre because it's like all legal genre. So I sent it to a lawyer and he was like, "Yo, this is what they're trying to do to you." Blah 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 blah. And I tried to negotiate. I think I was like, first I was like, yo, this shit sounds crazy. The lawyer suggested what I should do. And they were like, nah. And then I was like, nah. And so.
Wow.
And they've approached me a few times like, hey, you know, let me know if you change your mind, you know, all this stuff.
I don't know. If I received something like that, it would be so disrespectful. I'd be like, yo, fuck out of here.
Yeah. Even that show Shark Tank, like they try to get me on the show. And because I know you guys probably don't know this, but Disney owns Shark Tank, and Disney doesn't allow anybody with a criminal history on their show. So I got accepted by the producers to be on the show.
So they made an exception for you?
And no, but Disney ruled it out.
Oh, so they didn't make an exception.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's just
it makes
so
sense
much
with the brand though, because Disney is known as very wholesome.
But it's Shark Tank, you know what I mean? And I'm not. And I was
still under their portfolio. So
yeah,
I would get it.
But I don't know. I just feel like we're in a new age. You know, this is 2020. This is not like, you know, the 90s where everything was just like by the books. You know what I mean? Like everybody's talking about Black Lives Matter.
Wait, so what did they want you to go to Shark Tank for?
To pitch Combody. And so, you know, I applied at some point. They hit me back up and they were like, hey, you made the first round. Now we're going to get you in the show, you know, and then they had that rule. And because of that rule, they kicked me out.
That's crazy. Yeah. And how do people who are incarcerated, like, get their lives back, you know? It's sort of like, it's so restricted in this like, type of society.
There's over 40,000 there's 40,000 rules against people that have been incarcerated. You know, whether it's just like, I can't get life insurance because I have a record. You know,
wait, you can't have.
I can't.
You can't even.
Yeah, I've been rejected for. You know, I tried to get life insurance a few times when I've been out. I've been rejected. Just small little things like that. That my background as you know, I did this as, you know, young adult. You know, I was 21, 22, 23 when I got locked up. Like, and I was in my teens. You know what I mean? When you're in that mental stage as a kid, you're not fully grown, especially an adult. You know, like you don't fully grow your brain until you're like 21, 22 as a male. And so for me, I felt like I was just running around in the streets and I created this thing. And, you know, I felt like I had no risk involved because I was like fearless as a kid and I didn't give a fuck. But right now I do, you know, I wouldn't put myself in that position again.
Right. Because when you're a kid, you don't see the long-term consequences of your actions.
You know, and I just think that the rules need to be changed and people need to be given some type of leniency, especially if you did something, you know, this has been over 10 years ago now. You know, right. 12 years. Now,
with Conbody, you do give everyone that you hire are former inmates, right?
Yep.
And they all get second chances. And I guess what's so great about it is that you can be there to provide work for them, where otherwise it may be very challenging for them to turn their life around. You kind of give them that head start back into society. Have you seen anyone kind of go back on that, where they go back to a life of crime?
No one has gone back into prison. I've had a situation where some guy, he had a drug addiction and he went back into drugs, and we tried to get him help. We got him into a program. He failed in that program, got him into another program, and everybody has their own issues, and everybody's going to deal with their own journeys, and I try to help them as much as possible, but
for the most part, though, you're seeing a lot of success.
Yeah. We've had 47 people coming out of the system, and none of them have gone back to the prison
that's a very
system.
high success rate.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in attitude, in the way they approach their work every day?
Yeah, I feel like they have way more appreciation and hunger. Like they want to do more. They appreciate the opportunity. They appreciate that we're part of a team that's created, through, similar circumstances. And so it feels like more of a different community. And then our clients are also feeling some type of way too. Like we're helping them with their health, issues, or, losing weight, gaining strength, whatever their goal is. It's like a win-win situation. They're helping us and we're helping them,
I just don't know how you were able to do that. Like have that inspiration in prison, come out here, start a gym, get people to buy into it and believe, and name it ConBody and design the gym like a prison cell.
Yeah.
And have people go in there and I'm down to do a prison boot camp and get fucked up.
Yeah.
And go in there and it starts getting big. And you were telling me while we were off camera that you were doing this a few years ago, pre-COVID, where you could log in online and follow the instructor for a workout through streaming.
Yep.
Right? So you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, we just saw the subscription base go up on the online side, and so it was just like, I don't know. For me, it was like more of a blessing. I know nobody has said like COVID has been a blessing to them, but like, and we're living through a hard time during this epidemic, and but for us, it was just like, turn on the switch, turn on more marketing on the back end. And we never ran marketing on online. So like everything was just word of mouth. I did it like it was.
That's the best marketing.
When I was in the streets again, handing out cards, standing in the corner,
You've gone full circle.
There was just, I just changed my target market. You know what I mean? I went from like dealing with crackheads to yoga pant girls. You know what I mean? So, but it was just, it's been a crazy full cycle, to use the same type of techniques, but during COVID, doing the online marketing stuff has just been a success for us.
Do you think a lot of the skills that you learned when you were young, selling drugs, are transferable as a businessman in your adult years?
Absolutely. I just think that the only thing that's missing is, back then, or dealing on the streets, you don't have to deal with taxes. You know what I mean? Like, unless you have a gang that's, trying to tax you. But for me, that was the only difference. I mean, I felt like I got up every day. I delivered a great product, and I did it consistently. And when I started selling drugs, like I told you, I started with a nickel bag. You know what I mean? Like I was not making anything. It went from dealing with nickels to growing it out to billions of dollars, and that's what I did with the same thing in the fitness side of it. Like I started in the park in Forsyth, where we grew up. When I came home, it was a soccer field. Before it used to be concrete.
Oh, right there,
softball field.
Right.
So like I put a fake piece of broken pipe that was on the floor. I stuck it between the fences. I was doing pull-ups there, and I started gathering people at like 6 a.m. and started training there.
And people started just walking by, seeing you, and started joining you.
And so I was going up to people, and people were like coming up to the bar and trying to do a pull-up, and then I'll tell them like, "Yo, I'm training here," blah blah blah. The first client was my mom. I was telling you, my mom mom's still training with me.
You said she was like 70s, 80s?
She's almost 70.
Is she still training with you?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Hardcore, man.
She's a beast, man. She works out 4 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys got to try. You guys got to come to the class one day.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll get my ass kicked. You see how bad I am.
Hey, I've seen videos of Coss like going at it with the guys,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and
It's hardcore?
he does. Yeah, it's hardcore.
Oh,
you don't bullshit around,
the
man.
prison,
Yeah.
prison workout. Yeah,
The
yeah.
one that they invited some people
They-
to prison.
Yeah, BuzzFeed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was hardcore.
Yeah, I
I
trained.
think I last like 15 minutes.
yeah.
No, I think you.
No, that was a crazy experience because in Cali, the prison system over there is just like way more organized. The gangs are like way more organized. So I was in a room where I had like, you know, Aryan Nations, I had the Bloods, Crips, I had, you know, the Asian gangs, I had the Mexican MS-13s. I had all the gangs in one room. And
What?
they usually don't get along, and I had them actually touching each other, like giving
What?
high five, not like high fives after a workout. You know what I mean?
Wait,
What?
wait.
Wait, so you were doing con body before it was con body to gang members on the West Coast?
No. This is when I started combating here, but I got approached by BuzzFeed maybe like this is like 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago now. Where they came up to me and they were like, hey, so I was hitting up BuzzFeed nonstop. I was like, yo, I want you to do an interview on me. I'm doing this thing, blah, 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 comedy. Finally get somebody to hit me up that I like met through somebody else. And then, you know, we started talking and she was like, yo, I got the producers. They want to do something. So I'm like, yo, they hit me up. They was like, we're going to record in your gym. And I was like, nah, I want to do something in prison. I want to take, because I already did like a workout in prison, and I knew the warden in that prison, and they was like, what? And they was like, I want to do I want you to film me training the guys inside the California system prison, and the warden approved it. We got the cameras in there.
Oh.
It's like a 20-something minute documentary. It's a great documentary.
I'll check it out.
And this is something you've never done before. This is the first time you actually went into a prison to train.
No, I was doing it. I was doing it at Rikers Island.
Okay.
So I had I've done like a lot of shit inside the prison system. I was training inmates in solitary confinement in Rikers Island 3 times a week. I was doing stuff in I've done shit in Kansas City prisons. I've traveled to a lot of prisons around the country.
Did you know prior that these guys were eventually going to have some type of camaraderie from all these different races and gangs?
They were, I knew that I felt like they were, because it was a whole week. I worked them out for straight 5 days. So the first day they're like separated. They never, they
were cliquey, right? They stayed in their group.
They stay in everybody's. But the way I would design the workout was like, you interact with different people. So like I had people turn around and interact with somebody else, and that was like your workout partner. And then everybody's holding up a wall squat while people are running a lap and doing like 30 pull-ups or some shit like that. And then not 30 pull-ups, I'm exaggerating, but like they're doing like a whole circuit training while somebody else holds on a wall, and then and so everybody starts clapping for each other, you know what I mean? And everybody
The energy's up.
The energy is up. Everybody's giving high fives, and
I love hearing that.
It was just
man.
like it was crazy,
beautiful,
man.
yeah.
It was deep.
Damn, see, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of our differences, we don't even know why we hate each other at times.
Yeah.
We just look at it, oh, you're a little bit different than
Yeah,
me.
it's
Fuck
crazy.
you. Meanwhile, we're put in a situation where we can work together and we get to really see who
Yeah.
we are inside.
Yeah.
And when you show that heart, there's a certain amount of respect
Yeah.
that kind of goes along with that. And then you guys are going through something difficult together.
Yep.
And then you can feel that energy, and the real energy, not the toxic shit. And then and then you start high-fiving each other, and you
Yeah,
feel
it was-
like, you know what, this is stupid. Look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. But then they had to leave and go back to jail politics.
Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of the guys, they were coming in because it was, I had like 60 guys, and they were coming in, and they were like, they had a time to breathe where they didn't have to put this, front when they go to the yard and go out to their cliques. Because if you don't respect the cliques and all that shit, like you're gonna get fucked up. You know what I mean? And that's how California prisons, and even like in New York State prisons, like a lot of shit is segregated in every prison that I've been to. But over there it was just like, yo, you fuck with the Chicanos, and like you will cross one side of the yard to the other yard, and
Oh, it's divided into sections.
So it's territorial.
Like this person has the basketball court. This group has the handball court or whatever.
Benches.
The benches or the weights.
Yep.
Oh, snap. And you can't go into any of these without...
You can't hang out with like a group of, you know, if you're like Spanish, you can't hang out with the blacks. If you're black, and it's not even like black Spanish thing, is that everybody has their own gangs too. Like you have Blood, Crips, and you have like MS-13 or whatever it is. You know, you just have different type of gangs.
You said you saw Asian gangs in there. And that's not something I hear about a lot.
Yeah.
Within the criminal system. What was that like when you saw?
Very small. Very small. Yeah. There was a guy in the documentary you saw, Ping. He actually came out, and I hired him when he came out of the prison system. But he was in a clique in there, you know.
An Asian clique?
Yeah.
Now, do you see any cross cliques where like an Asian or can join a non-Asian clique, or a Spanish person can join a non-Hispanic clique?
In New York, yeah.
But in Cali, it's strict?
In Cali, yeah.
Like you're born into this and that's it?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you have to click up while you were incarcerated?
I was like hanging out with the gangs. I was more with the Dominicans, but I never joined them. And they asked me to join, and I was like, you know, how much are you gonna pay me?
Right.
And I almost got beat up for that, but you know, we made a joke out of it, and
so they were cool. Generally speaking, in New York, it's not as strict as it is in Cali. Sounds like.
Well, New York, if you're standing alone, you better be ready to fight alone. You know,
is it almost a guarantee that they're gonna fuck with you? Like if you go to prison. Let's say I went to prison, right? Or Norm, whatever.
It depends what unit you go to. You know, there was units where like everybody stood to themselves, and there are gangs, but you know, and there was rules. Like, you know, certain gangs run the phones. You know, you had a black phone, Spanish phone, and you had a neutral phone.
Oh shit.
You know, and so the neutral phone, sometimes the gangs would take over the neutral phone, and so, you know, you can't take over the phone. You can't.
So as an Asian guy, if it's a black phone, then you got the white phone, and then the neutral phone.
White people are not like scarce in there too, like especially in New York. You know, 95% of the jail population in Rikers Island is black and Hispanic.
Oh, so
it's like
they're the minority in there.
Yeah, Asians you really don't see. Like you'll see like in every prison I've been to, every jail, I've probably seen like one or two Asians, but that's it. You know,
but they stand alone, or they click up with other.
Nobody really fucked with the Asians like that. With the whites, they did.
Probably not a good idea to stick out.
Yeah, they were not sticking out.
Yeah, just keep your head low, mind your business.
Yeah, I've seen like one old Asian guy felt bad, like they were taking advantage of him, and they were like stealing food from him. But
like old, like how old? Like 60, 70? Like
no,
that?
like 50. You know. Just like didn't speak English, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, I don't know what he got caught with or did, but you know, it was just sad.
So and
it was just like little kids, you know what I mean? They're 18, 19 years old. They got something to prove.
Yeah. So let's go after the easy target.
Exactly.
Now, do you really have to stand your ground in prison? Like if somebody's fucking with you and you let it slide once, then that's it. It's open season on you.
Yeah, you don't let it slide. You don't.
It's open season for you. Like if you just one day you're just like, you know what? Nah, just fuck it.
Nah, you don't let nothing.
Nothing.
You
can't give them an inch anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you let things slide, you know, that's when open season. You know what I mean? People are gonna take advantage.
They'll know.
Yeah.
So it's better to get beat up.
Yeah, just or try to fight and try to beat them up.
And they'll respect you for that.
Yeah.
When they're like, all right, you know what? At least this dude's holding his own.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So you got into a couple of brawls? Like, did some people try to test you?
Yeah, a few times. Especially when I was a kid, I fought every day.
What?
Yeah.
Like one-on-ones, or did they jump you, or was it your crew, their crew?
Most of them one-on-ones, but because I was not part of the gang.
Oh, so that's what you said
Yeah.
earlier. You got to be
Yeah.
ready to fight alone.
Yep.
But if it's 1-on-1, it's better than 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, no, I've been jumped too. Like, woken up in the middle of the night, mattress flip.
What?
Because it's sometimes you're in a dorm. It's 50 beds in one room, and you're not in a cell, so you got to sleep with one eye open sometimes. You know what I mean? But
Damn, that's crazy.
and yeah, it's crazy.
Glad you're not in that life anymore.
Yeah, thank God I'm not there no more.
And you're out to greener pastures. You're doing a lot of great things. You're trying to get back to the community.
Yep.
I mean, that's all great stuff. And earlier you said that you did a TED Talk in Hong Kong. How did you go over to Hong Kong to do a TED Talk?
How the fuck that?
And you said it was one of the greatest experiences of your life.
Greatest trips.
The greatest trip of your life.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing because I actually got to bring my brother over. My brother is actually running for city council. My brother lost for city council 3.5 years ago against Margaret Chin, and she's termed out. She's there. She's been in office for 11 years now. Next year she can't run anymore. So he lost by 1%.
What?
Yeah, 200 votes.
Oh my gosh.
And the Chinese community don't like her. Oh no, I mean I'm here with my brother. I'm like helping him campaign and all that stuff. My mom's gotten crazy calls from people on the street to like knowing my mom's number and telling her like, hey, tell your brother to drop out the race. Like because they paid. It was there's so much dirty politics. It's fucking crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Like how? Give me like they would call your brother and
they'll
harass
call
him?
my mom and harass my mom. My mom's house and tell my mom like, yo, tell your son to drop off the race. He shouldn't be, running for politics.
Who would call? Like just random
like
people?
people she knew.
How do you know it came from her to how it's not?
Because they were campaigning for her. Because she was paying people to campaign for her, and so like they'll call my mom and be like, and then my brother's like a Bernie Sanders. Like he's just like, yo, there's so much dirty politics. Like he doesn't want to take money from people. Like, so basically like city council has huge power in here. Like they can't build a building here without their signature. Mm-hmm. So all these development companies, pay these people's campaigns, fund these people's terms. You know what I mean? Like to build like these big new skyscrapers that's, destroying the whole neighborhood now and bringing all these, high taxes, bringing so much crazy shit in here.
Yeah, the rezoning, changing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But
like
it's the core.
Exactly. Like, noodle soup used to be 25 cents. Now it's $1.25. You know what I mean? Like, and they have to raise all the prices because, rent is raising up around here and all that stuff. So this is due to like politics too. Like, these developments are feeding money to her and like she's signing off on like these bigger buildings and my brother's like fighting against all that shit. Like me and my brother like had 1,000 people protest. I don't know if you've seen that, but we had 1,000 people protest last year in Chinatown, like because they wanted to build the largest jail in New York City. They had
right by Columbus Park.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I have a few friends that are fighting against that.
my brother started that whole organization, and we got a whole group together. We got to, and we shut him down actually because he put a lawsuit in with a Native American group. So that site they didn't know was being it was owned by Native American. Well, it's like a landmine for Native Americans, and they have to sign off and get permission by the.
So is current that they're trying to build a jail right by Columbus Park is a Native American landmark?
Yeah. And so they have to get like signature from a chief or something. And so they didn't ask permission. So my brother went to the courts
How the
and
fuck
put
did you guys find that out?
My brother, I don't know, he fucking figured that shit out. So
Yo, a smart guy.
he put a lawsuit in and we won the lawsuit. And so now they can't build that jail there.
Oh, is that the status now?
they shut
Well,
it
as of
down.
when? This must have been recent.
This was like beginning of the year. Like like right before the pandemic.
Really? I thought they were still fighting to not build it. Last we heard,
I think it's pre-pandemic. That's when
That's
I mean,
right, that's when
pandemic
we had-
times you
people were still out. They
feel
were like they're like rallying.
yeah.
People were still out. So it wouldn't make sense during the pandemic.
so it's done now. They can't build a jail.
they
there.
can't build a jail down there.
Wow.
So was it like an Indian burial ground?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
that's one of the myths. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
that's
true.
that,
That's
yeah,
true.
that's what it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
And your brother is the one that.
Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
Christopher Marte, yeah.
Christopher. And when is he running?
June is the primary, so he'll find out if he wins the Democratic seat. He probably is gonna win the Democratic seat.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean he lost by 200 votes.
Do you know who's running against him?
Random people that are coming left field.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people.
So
okay.
he knows. Our brother he's been giving out turkeys, doing toy drives. Like he's been.
I mean,
working
he's
in the
out there,
community.
right?
Yeah, he's out
Serving
there.
the
He's been doing
community.
a lot of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, but if you're going to run for politics, you have to be at scene serving the community.
Well, I
you know?
mean, there's certain
Come on, let's
politicians.
not pretend here.
I mean, certain politicians just
You got
show
to.
up for a photo,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
De Blasio, and then
yeah, but he's
walk
already
off.
got the seat.
Yeah.
No,
is
but
prior to-
it's still those politicians don't even do shit. Like sometimes they just have so much money from all these people that donate it, so they have their minions.
Go out there.
Just go out there and just pass out flyers. You know what I mean? My brother's been knocking on my brother was walking. He had his Apple Watch. He had walked a marathon every single day. He walked up and down the Smith projects. He was knocking on every single door in the neighborhood.
Why would he
for
want to
like,
run for office?
This is what he always wanted to do. So he was working for IBM for a while. He graduated college, and he got into the finance world, and he just thought it was boring. And then there was a shooting of this illegal immigrant in Pasco, Washington, and this immigrant, it was like a George Floyd situation. This Mexican immigrant was working the farms and stuff like that, and he fit the description. He puts his hands up, and they shot him like crazy, 20 something times or some shit like that.
This wasn't even in the news. Was it?
It was not in the limelight.
It was just
like that. It
It
was
was
just
I didn't hear about it.
I didn't
so-
hear about it.
and this was in Pasco, Washington. And so my brother heard about this, and he was like, I'm gonna move to Pasco. This motherfucker went to Pasco to work with the immigrant lawyers that were fighting against immigrant law. And so he started doing law work out there, and then the assembly position opened up here, and he was like, I'm gonna move back and run for office. And he's just a very political advocate type of person, and he has a small position now here. He's a committeeman for downtown.
Are you ever concerned that whoever's running against him might try to use you against him?
Oh, they already done
Because
stupid
if you say
articles.
politics is a dirty game, they're gonna try
Yeah,
to.
they've came out with little articles saying by the way, his brother's an ex-con who runs Con Body. It'll write this whole crazy article at the end and be like, by the way, his brother of Coss Marte, ex-convict, runs Con Body.
Right.
Whatever.
But
No.
then it's you're running your own business, reformed
Yeah.
ex-con. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
But
that's a story.
But from the outside looking in,
Right, I get it.
They
They,
may- they
probably
may-
they probably blow up ex-con.
and the way it's
yeah.
written, your brain's gonna lump these two together.
Right.
The brother must also be
Yeah.
some type of way.
Yeah,
like
people
that.
read headlines. They don't read the
You know,
story.
the
Exactly.
apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly.
So that's the whole point of that article,
Yeah.
to try to
It's just crazy.
do a little bit of political shaming. Now, does he if he wins, he's going to be in this area. Chinatown is going to be one of the areas where
Yeah.
he looks after.
You got to get him in the podcast, and
I would love to.
Yeah,
If he wants to come
definitely.
on, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Would love. I
I
mean,
mean, we had some politicians come on.
did he ever tell you what he wants to do in this area, in the Lower East Side or Chinatown?
he just doesn't want mass construction and mass gentrification. He wants an equal rights. He wants also the old businesses to last for a very long time and not be raised on the rent and not be fucked with. You know what I mean? There's Cup and Saucer as an example. I don't know you guys remember Cup and Saucer,
right by IS 131.
Yeah.
My cousin and I used to go there. We used to pay $2 for that big plate of fries.
Hell
and
yeah,
it was the
was
bomb.
good.
Yeah, and I love it's the old school bar seating style,
Yeah.
and you get a mix of, you get construction workers, you get kids, you
Yeah.
get families. It's just a whole bunch.
And they got
such a dope
priced out.
vibe.
They
Is that why they closed?
Yeah, they opened in the mid '80s, and you know, they got priced out because, you know, the landlord owner got somebody to give them a better offer.
Yeah.
That was such a beautiful diner.
And just like some landmine like that, you know what I mean? Like that's just been there for years, been good to the neighborhood. You know, I used to walk there with my kid, and they used to give my son, you know, donuts. You know what I mean? Like free donuts. So
yeah, they were so nice there. I was just a little kid when I used to go eat there. I was like 12, 13. My cousin and I used to just walk and eat it because it was cheap.
Yeah,
and we can have a burger and fries, you know, and pay just a few bucks for it.
Yeah,
and where it wasn't like a burger chain, you know, so it was like just good quality.
Yeah, local, good quality.
Yeah, it was
good
delicious,
people, so.
and they were so nice. Like we're just, you know, see two little Chinese kids go in there. I forgot, they were like, what were they? Were they Greek, right? Yeah, and they were just so nice to us. We're just two little kids, and they were making jokes with us and kind of talking to us, and just treated us as equals, and that was rare. It was rare at that time, and then when I heard that place shut down, it really hurt. You know, and the sad part is that's happening across the board. You know, it's a shame. It's a damn shame.
And now during the pandemic, I don't know how these restaurants,
that's accelerated.
Businesses, it's fucking crazy.
The thing you told me, your brother lived in China, right? He went to school there, and he's fluent. Even though you guys are Dominican, he's Dominican. He speaks Mandarin fluently.
Yeah.
So he's fluent in Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese too, or
no, not Cantonese. And this is where I made the mistake because I brought him to the TED Talk in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is like Cantonese.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, because I couldn't communicate, I couldn't get around. I remember I was like, I was
get around with English in Hong Kong,
but they were the cabs.
Okay,
the red cabs, they're mad disrespectful.
Oh yeah.
And so
they upcharge you.
Yeah, and so no, but I got in the cab, which was funny, and they, you know how they press the button in the front door, in the front dashboard, and the back door opens up.
Yeah.
And so like I'm telling my brother, yo, tell him we have to go like here, and so my brother's like, and the guy's like, huh? And like just press the fucking button. And like the door swings open, and I'm like, yo, he's like, and my brother's like, yo, I can't speak Cantonese. I'm like, what the fuck I brought you to China for? I didn't understand the train system. You have to you have to stick the ticket inside the train to get out, and so then, I'm like hopping the train, and like and everybody's looking at me like it was crazy.
I went into a restaurant and they gave me the American menu. I didn't even know that they had it. It was super expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And my boy goes, "What are you doing?" And he spoke to the waiter. He goes, "No, and he goes, "You guys are American born?" And he was like, "No, I'm HK. You hear me talking?" And he goes, "Well, your friend." He goes, "My friend's visiting me." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he went back.
That's crazy.
I was like, "Yo, what kind of?" I was like, "Is that racist?" Because I'm Chinese, but you know, like it's crazy.
But the experience was fun. The experience was fun, man.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I remember my brother and we were in the elevator, and we were in Macau, and we're going up in the elevator in the hotel, and there was like this like Asian family that like traveled in, because the only place you could like come to gamble in China is like Macau, right?
Right.
Legally. I don't know why, but whatever. It's like Vegas over there, but it's so replicated like Vegas. It's crazy. Like every like inch is Vegas is insane. But I'm in the elevator and there's this little kid. He must have been like 5-6 years old, and he starts petting my hand.
What?
And my brother, and I'm like looking at my brother, and I look at the kid. And then
you didn't move your hand?
And no, I'm like, what the fuck?
He's more shocked than anything, man. It's like, yo.
And then the kid grabbed my arm and he pulled me down. He starts touching my hair. And then my brother was like, yeah, they never felt hair like that, so he wants to touch it. You know, and I had like a little bit of a fro, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yo,
it's just funny, man. It's crazy. But he was like, yeah, those are people like from mainland China that like are living the, you know, West Bubble fucking shit.
Oh, this happened in Macau. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of people from
The
different
travel.
parts of
Villages.
China. Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
they come in.
and this kid was like 5'6", and I was just laughing, and I just like I kept getting my head pet, like
Dude,
like I'm a fucking pet.
Yo, dude, when you said like a little kid, I thought it was like a 3-year-old or something. You said this guy is a
like
teenager.
5'6",
Five,
no,
six.
5'6",
5'6",
yeah,
5'6"
like
years
5'6".
Oh,
years
5'6"
old.
years
Yeah,
old.
A
Okay.
teenager's not gonna. That's super.
No, no,
like,
no,
I don't think Coss.
a kid.
is
I
gonna
would
let a
have
teenager-
smacked that kid.
I don't care where I'm at.
If there's a teenager petting me, I'm like, oh, just time out.
No, that's why I was laughing, because it was just like
5 or
this
6 is
little
cute,
innocent
but-
kid.
Yeah.
You know, it was just so funny.
Anyway, Coss, yo, thanks for coming by. It was great talking to you.
Nah, likewise, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Nah, thank
Definitely
you,
inspiring.
Down to totally check out
Yeah.
your gym, man. And I can't promise a full workout, but
Well, once I lock the gate, you can't get
Yeah,
out.
you can't get out, dude.
Oh, you
Yo,
locked
it's
the gate?
hardcore, man.
Nah, I
It's
don't lock
hardcore,
the
son.
gate. I close the gate though. But I'm
And he
trying to
starts
find the
yelling at
Kingpin.
you, you know, you might cry, but it's okay.
we'll talk after, man.
Nah, thank you, bro.